Hey, Matt.
How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Enjoying this beautiful Virginia Tech morning?
Yeah, it is pretty dreary outside, actually, so no, it's not too nice.
But I actually want to first welcome you to be my co-host officially on the Rig Report. We are excited to have you. But let's first get down to business. Obviously, today is the granddaddy of them all in NFL football, the Super Bowl. But before we get to how both of these teams got here, we got to talk about some sad news. And on the Johnny Manziel front, has denied rehab twice in this past week. I am a Johnny Manziel lover. I love him absolutely to death. But changes need to be made, obviously. What do you think about that situation?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just a sad situation. It's because there's very clearly a bigger problem than football here. Johnny's got some serious life decisions, some things that he needs to figure out greater than football. I saw that there was a quote from his dad saying something similar to, "If he keeps this up, he won't live to see his next birthday." I mean, and if that's actually the situation, then he needs to evaluate his life. He needs to take a step back and saying, how detrimental his behavior is being to him, not just to his career, obviously, as we're seeing, as the Browns are going to leave him because of these things that he keeps doing, but his personal health as well. I mean, if he keeps making these decisions, it's going to come back to bite him, not just through his football career, but with his personal life. So, like you said, I agree with you. I'm a big Johnny Manziel fan too. I really liked him in college. One of the most exciting players I've ever watched. We love watching him, but it's just it became too much for the Browns clearly as they're getting rid of him. And he really needs to take a step back and really reevaluate what he's doing.
And my last question about this. Now, I know the Dallas police have launched an internal investigation into what happened last weekend down in Dallas and Fort Worth. Do you think anything criminal will come about that?
Well, I'm not 100% familiar with this exact situation of what happened. I saw the accusation saying that he had struck his girlfriend, which or his ex-girlfriend, I think it was. Yeah. But which at the time and age we're at right now, I mean, that stuff just does not fly. It's just the culture of what's going on right now, the culture of the NFL, the culture of society right now. If charges are filed against him, he will not be playing in the NFL for a long time. So I'd have to find out more information about the exact situation. But if charges are filed against him, he's done for a long time in the NFL.
Yes. Now moving back on to the game today. Obviously, they took pretty similar routes to get to Super Bowl 50. But I first want to address the Peyton situation, and I mean we'll get back in more into this as the show goes on. But he's literally playing with a bionic body at this point.
He is.
And I mean, obviously, it's great to see Peyton in this Super Bowl, especially Super Bowl 50, for how big it is. Do you think with a win today he retires?
I actually think Peyton Manning is done with a win or a loss tonight. I really think this is it for him. I know, it's great. I love having Peyton in the NFL. It's especially great to see this year. People were doubting him when he was benched. You benched Peyton Manning, which is unbelievable to begin with. And now look at me, end up bringing the team to the Super Bowl. But honestly, I do think win or loss tonight is Peyton Manning's last game in the NFL.
Okay, but let's. I know you're going to talk a little bit about how. Who are you talking about? Actually, I don't even know.
I'm going to be talking about the Panthers.
Okay.
They're to the playoffs.
Then, how did the Panthers get here to Super Bowl 50?
Well, Panthers and Broncos both number one seeds overall coming out of the regular season. They had 15-1 coming into the playoffs. Their only slip up was against Atlanta in the regular season. They got that bye, had their first round win in the playoffs, which was good for them. It's just, and really, when you go to the NFC title game, what we saw in the NFC title game for Carolina was one of the most dominating and overwhelming wins in a title game I've ever seen. 49-15 was the final against Arizona, rather. And it was just domination on both sides. There's Cam Newton, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 long touchdowns from Ohio State grads, Ted Ginn and Philly Brown, which is good to see as an Ohio State fan, of course. 4 picks from Carson Palmer, which is really sad because he had a great year. Carson Palmer had the best year of his career this year in regular season. Cardinals had an awesome year. They're going to be Bruce Arians, great coach. They're going to be good for years to come. But it was just complete domination. Luke Kuechly with a pick six. Luke Kuechly has a pick six in both playoff games this year, which is unbelievable.
And
he's playing at an unbelievable level. So
yeah, we'll touch on him a little more in a second.
It was just domination. The Panthers have showed why they were 15-1 in the regular
season. And that brings me to a big point: is do you think the Broncos can keep up with them tonight?
You know what? I do think the Broncos can keep up with it tonight. The Broncos defense statistically is one of the top 10 defenses of all time. Let that sink in. Top 10 defenses of all time. And if you watch them play, you'll believe it. That defensive front led by Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware is very intimidating. If I were an offensive front, I would not want to play against them. You got their DBs and Bradley led by the veteran Aqib Talib and Bradley Roby. I think it just said we good. All right.
Yeah, we're good.
Led by Aqib Talib and Bradley Roby. I mean, they really do have a very, very good defense. That's the matchup it's going to be. It's going to be that offense against the defense. I really do think the Broncos can keep with them. It's going to be a question of who steps up on offense for the Broncos. We know Peyton Manning's there. They have a couple weapons, C.J. Anderson, Demaryius Thomas, etc. It's going to be who steps up for the Broncos on offense. And if nobody steps up, they might be in trouble. I think one or two of them is going to step up, and that's going to be the matchup to watch out.
And then I have the Broncos when they beat the Steelers.
Yes.
And that... Watching that game, it was interesting is because obviously the Steelers are coming off that incredible debacle in Cincinnati the week before.
Yeah.
And I really thought coming into that they had absolutely no chance against the Broncos for how they played against the Bengals. Now, it was raining. It was an absolutely messy game in Cincinnati, but the Broncos find a way to win every single game, and that's what I love about them. And I really do think today it is going to be closer than everyone else thinks. I was watching ESPN and the NFL Network this morning, and some of these analysts are just absolutely crushing the Broncos. And it's like they have Peyton Manning. And I understand Peyton's not that rushing quarterback like his brother, but I think he's going to be able to stay in the pocket today and give his receivers time to get open. Let's move on to actually now previewing the Super Bowl. Obviously, it's going to be taking place in Santa Clara, California tonight at Levi's Stadium. What do you think is exactly going to happen tonight? Do you think it's going to be a complete washout?
You know, I touched on this earlier actually, and I'm really just it's going to depend on who shows up for the Broncos on offense. You know, their defense is going to show up. Everybody knows that their defense is going to do what they've been doing all season. But the Panthers have an awesome defense too. That defensive front, I know they're going to be without Davis at linebacker. I think he's ruled out. He had a broken arm in the NFC Championship game. Luke Kuechly is, like we've said, is playing unbelievable right now. Josh Norman, probably the best DB in the league at the moment. It's going to be, and if nobody shows up if none of the wideouts or C.J. Anderson doesn't show up, if nobody shows up for the Broncos, they're going to have no chance against that defense.
Do you think Kuechly plays a huge role in this game?
I think Kuechly plays an absolutely instrumental role. I think in order for because people are, I know Panthers are 15-1. The Broncos only lost 2 games this year. So
we're good.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Okay.
But yeah, and I feel like obviously Peyton Manning needs to know where Kuechly is at all times on that field because he can do some amazing things in that backfield. And and I believe Peyton is going to – this is obviously going to be Peyton's biggest test of the season. But we got to talk a little bit more about Carolina and Cam Newton. Cam Newton, obviously, last night getting the MVP award. And it was funny because in their final team meeting, he comes dancing in to their meeting.
Yep.
And but what do you think of that whole entire Cam Newton situation this year? Do you think he's a fool of himself, or do you think he actually is the real deal?
Cam Newton is the real deal. He is Superman. I mean, watch him. He is so fun to watch play. The amount of he's enjoying it. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. He does it the right way. He does it the fair way, and he dominates. I mean, you can't argue with what he's doing. Two rushing touchdowns in the NFC Championship. He's just one of the most dynamic and exciting players I've ever seen, honestly. And it's not just been this year. I know this is his breakout year. Obviously, winning the MVP, he deserves it. He is the best player in the league right now. But he's done it his whole career. He just hasn't quite had the weapons. And this year, everything dominating. He's the real deal. He is the real deal.
Yes.
And he's not going away. This isn't a one-year thing. He's not going away after this year.
And it was funny because I read a stat this past week is that he is trending up to be one of the most highest paid athletes in sports. I know he has all these endorsements, but he is absolutely the real deal. And it's so exciting to watch him or the Panthers score a touchdown and give a ball to a little kid. It's
awesome. Yeah,
that is absolutely awesome. Now, we gotta get our picks for this for tonight. Who are you taking?
You know what? I'm going to go against the grade. I know I just talked up Cam Newton and I talked to the Panthers. I'm going to go Broncos 23-20 in an upset. Peyton Manning gets his ring and retires after the game. Count on it.
Whoa. And I mean, I got to go with you too. I mean, to see Peyton Manning in this Super Bowl, it is absolutely just amazing. Because, I mean, it's Peyton Manning. It's one of the Manning brothers. Archie, his dad, great person. But no, I got to go with Peyton tonight. I'm going to say 24-21. I just can't see Peyton not riding out on a sunset in Santa Clara.
I agree. And I think let me say this real quick. I think that the Super Bowl experience, I think that's been kind of underplayed. I know they're saying that a lot of the guys on ESPN are saying that the Cam not being in the Super Bowl is not going to hurt him. I think it is going to hurt him. Peyton's been there before. He knows what it takes, and it's not just the game; it's the week before that. There's a lot of distractions the week of Super Bowl, and Peyton Manning's a pro. He's been there for way too long. He knows what to do. I think he's going to have his boys prepared, and they're going to get the W.
And you bring up a great point. There is, I think Cam Newton with his personality coming into this week might hurt him. He is, and obviously he's one of those laid back people all the time.
Oh yeah.
But it is Super Bowl week. It is not. He comes dancing into his final meeting last night. Like, I understand you're happy about winning the MVP award, but you have a bigger thing at stake tomorrow night than just yourself.
Yep.
But what a great show. And obviously, we're glad to have you on board.
Yep. Great.
Viewers, next week we're going to start diving into college basketball. I know that's one of Carter's favorite sports.
It is.
I mean,
I love college ball.
His Dukies are a little down this year, but they got a big game against Louisville tomorrow night.
It's all right. There's still tournament time for the Dukies. Don't
yes.
But
until next week, this is the Reagan Grimm Show. We'll see you later.